Oh my gosh, I blend in with this bed sheet color. I'm wearing like a sage jumpsuit, so I think that's why. I'm in Hawaii right now, and I am sitting on the ground of the bedroom, but tomorrow is a really important day for me, and I know it's like 9:30 at night, but I want to film this so that I can put it up when tomorrow happens. Tomorrow is Global Narcolepsy Awareness Day, and I've had it on my calendar for I think about a month when I realized that this day was upcoming, and I thought it would be really cool to take advantage of this day to share a little bit about my story with narcolepsy and invite you guys into a greater understanding of what narcolepsy is. So I officially got diagnosed with narcolepsy last year. I went through a series of different tests and sleep tests to finally identify that narcolepsy is what I have, and I have narcolepsy with cataplexy. So cataplexy means I experience momentary loss or control of my joints when I have heightened emotions. So that can be anything from being like really excited to see a golden retriever to feeling really, really sad. I feel like I can't hold things really well in my hands, like I lose control or ability for a second. My eyes flutter, my knees buckle, sometimes it just feels like they're buckling. Yeah, I just sort of like feel like I've lost ability to control my body. But I remember like rewinding all the way back to high school, I started to notice just extreme sleepiness in my classes, during tests, when I was driving, and I looked up on Google like what that meant, extreme sleepiness, and narcolepsy came up, but I always wrote it off because I thought that it was just a part of like me growing up and maybe not getting a normal sleep cycle in, so I would just tell myself it wasn't really anything. But then as I continued to progress into college, I noticed the same symptoms, and some of them got worse. Like in classes, I just struggled to stay awake in any lecture. Studying and doing homework was really, really hard for me. I felt like most of the time when I would try to do homework or study for anything, I'd be falling asleep. At work, where I'm like meant to be really social and with people, I like couldn't stay awake. Driving was scary for me because I would get drowsy really easily and feel like I didn't trust myself to drive unless I had a cold brew with me or had chugged coffee beforehand. But then there were also experiences with sleep that began to surface that were sort of scary for me. Well, when I fall asleep like really, really quickly, I had been like that since childhood, but then I think it progressed more so in college. Like I would fall asleep really easily and feel really embarrassed in front of friends. And then I just noticed at night, like I would hit deep sleep and I would experience dreams during naps. I also began to notice like doing anything after dinner time or after a meal was really, really hard for me. Like it was hard for me to stay awake and to function with friends doing evening activities, and I would always feel really embarrassed and call myself a grandma because I didn't know why I couldn't hang with people. I was just so exhausted. Things started to get scarier when I began to experience hallucination type moments. Sometimes they would happen like when I was beginning to fall asleep at night, going to bed, but they most commonly happened when I was drifting into sleep, or when I drift to sleep when I'm taking a nap, and sometimes it's even when I'm just like doing something normal. An example of that is like I would be sleeping on the couch, just taking a nap, and as I'm drifting into sleep, I think that somebody is banging on my door, and it's like the mailman trying to get inside, and then they open the door and I'm like on the couch and I'm seeing and experiencing them coming in or trying to intrude, and I think it's real, but then I wake up and it takes me a second to even realize if it is real. And I like remember this same type of dream would happen over and over again, and I would like go to the front door and check, and I'm like, oh wait, the door's locked, there's no mail anywhere, like I think that was a dream. And those same type of like intruder dreams would happen during naps. I remember there was a moment, this was just a few months ago, I was like doing work on my laptop, and I was just getting really sleepy. And I was sitting in a room by myself, and then for a split second I thought I saw someone in the room. And even though I like knew it wasn't real, I like for a split second like fell asleep, and then when I looked at my hand, I realized I was like waving at this person that I thought was in the room but wasn't really there. I think also sleep, sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I took notes to make sure I hit all of like my key symptoms. But I'd say over the past year especially, sleep at night has been one of the most difficult things for me. I'm not able to stay asleep for most of the night. Like I hit dream sleep or REM sleep almost immediately within just a few minutes of falling asleep, but then I wake up within an hour, and then throughout the rest of the night I'll like fall asleep for an hour, deep dream sleep, and then I'll wake up, and then I'll fall into like deep dream sleep and have another dream, and then wake up, and it goes on until it hits morning. And some days I'm able to just push myself to like go through that, but other nights I just stay awake for hours because I think my most anxious thoughts come to mind, and I get stressed and overwhelmed about different things in life, and I can't fall back to sleep. So all of those different symptoms coming into play and being a part of my daily life, it was hard and scary not being able to pinpoint what it actually was. But I think when I officially got diagnosed last spring, that really lifted a burden from me, realizing that I'm not crazy in the extreme amount of drowsiness that I feel and all of these like random weird symptoms like cataplexy and hallucinations. But it also, I think, carried a level of fear in me, just in that I am not able to control my body. And there's all of these little things about narcolepsy that make my day-to-day so hard. When I got diagnosed with narcolepsy, they also prescribed me with a medication called Xyrem, and it's a medication that's really common to be diagnosed to people with narcolepsy, but it's actually the date rape drug. There's just a lot of side effects that I've read when taking that drug, and you just have to be really, really precise with the time that you take it before you sleep, waking up in the middle of the night to take it, making sure you don't eat X hours before you sleep, no alcohol. There's a lot to taking that drug besides just like swallowing it down. So because of all of that, I chose not to take any medication and to go medication free and just implement life changes to make narcolepsy easier to cope with. So some examples of that are taking frequent naps during the day. Some days I'll take no naps, but some days I'll take 3 or 4 naps and still feel sleepy. I also just have more boundaries on things like driving, on how I like spend my time with people, like making sure I take naps before I hang out with people or I drink coffee, not pushing myself to staying and hanging out with people too late if I know that it's going to be a really long day and I won't be able to function well. Yeah, I think it's just this overarching thing of like narcolepsy is embedded in every decision of my life, and it's hard and it's challenging. And I think I've had a lot of moments over the last year when realizing that I got diagnosed, where I felt really frustrated and angry at the Lord for allowing me to experience this kind of condition. It feels really limiting often, and I feel like I'm not able to really control my body in so many parts of my day-to-day life. But I wanted to share this video because I think I feel like God's taught me so much in what it means to trust Him and to really, really lean on Him when I feel weak and when I feel tired and when I feel scared of what's to come. The thing with narcolepsy is there's no like expected direction of how your condition will go. Like, it's not like everyone who has narcolepsy will get better over time and as they age. It really changes depending on the person. Like for me, I feel like I've actually experienced my symptoms getting worse, and it's scary to think that they could get even more worse, like my cataplexy especially. But maybe they'll get better, and just that unknown and not knowing what will happen freaks me out. One of the Bible passages that has brought me the most comfort in my journey with narcolepsy is actually Psalm 121. So it says, "I lift my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord watches over you. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." I have that entire passage highlighted in blue. That passage has brought comfort to me in deeper ways than I ever experienced it before I got diagnosed with narcolepsy. Knowing that the Lord is with me and that He's watching over me and protecting me, even when I'm tired and my body is like physically weary and exhausted. Knowing that He is watching over my morning and my evening when I'm asleep and when I'm awake. It's brought deep comfort to my heart and soul, knowing that He's taking care of me and that I am totally okay and that I can get through my day, even with the limitations and the boundaries that I have to put on my life. So things are hard and scary, not knowing if my narcolepsy is going to get worse or better, but I have this deep faith and trust that things are going to be okay and that the Lord's taking care of me because He promised that He would. If you're out there and you have narcolepsy, feel free to DM me. I would love to chat and talk. I've only ever talked to 2 other people in my life just this past year who also have narcolepsy, and to be able to connect with somebody who's experiencing similar symptoms, though probably slightly different, is so encouraging and so comforting in allowing me and hopefully you to feel more seen and known in what you're experiencing. If you want to know more about narcolepsy, there is a book that I read. It's actually a memoir that this girl wrote about her own story, and it's called Wide Awake and Dreaming. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. This is what the cover looks like, and reading this book brought huge encouragement to me because I think this author, Julie Flagar, was able to put a lot of words to the experiences that we have with narcolepsy. It's hard to explain what it feels like to have narcolepsy, but this book I've passed off to friends and family, and it's helped them a ton in being able to step into my shoes and experience what my day-to-day looks like. So that's a book I definitely recommend. I know this video was a little bit different than other ones that I've posted, but I hope you did get something out of it in better understanding narcolepsy, or maybe even just feeling a little bit encouraged of what it means to trust the Lord in the unknown and things that feel scary. So yeah, so I'm gonna go now, and thanks so much for watching this video and for sticking around all the way to the end. I say that every single time, but it really does mean a lot that you are tuning in and watching my videos. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.